So, there's a bunch of good news and bad news if you're a fan of either Misfit of Demon King Academy or NieR Automata. Now, NieR Automata was delayed for a few weeks here. We got to episode 3 and then it got indefinitely delayed. We didn't know when it was coming back. We now have the confirmation episode 4 is dropping next week. So things were looking all bright. And then less than 30 minutes later, it was revealed that Misfit of Demon King Academy was getting delayed episode 7 onwards, and we don't know when it's going to come back. Now, one could suspect when NieR probably gets delayed again, maybe Misfit will come back, because even though they may be different studios, they have one thing that's in common between both of them, and that is Aniplex. Now, Aniplex is a very big name in the anime industry, and there's a bit of a curse that goes on with Aniplex. Anything that's produced, licensed by Aniplex, typically suffers production issues, whether full-on delays or just you start noticing the dips, because Aniplex has a lot of projects going on at any particular moment, and while the excuse that is very convenient these days is TheVoid, I'm not going to say the full name just in case YouTube doesn't like that, but you know what I'm talking about, TheVoid. Often, you can say, oh, this is now just a convenient excuse because production committees, who are very bad at managing anime, and they don't have most anime done before they air, they can now use that as an excuse. And I'm not saying that there isn't a large portion of the world that is getting hit very hard and workers aren't coming into work to do it. That is happening. The issue is when you have producers like Aniplex who have 30 things going on in a 12-month period, and they try to force out 10 of them in a same season. If you don't have more than 3 to 6 episodes close to ready to go before airing, you're going to hit a delay if any bump comes up on the road. And it's why, once again, I have to say, I wish nothing but the best for the team responsible making this, but Aniplex and production committees, I have no compassion for. They are absolute scumbags with how they force anime out before it's ready. And while yes, this is common practice, most anime aren't finished before they release, it shouldn't be common practice. You have Mob Psycho 100 Season 3, that was literally completed before it started broadcasting. Most of Kyoto Animation's projects are done before they're airing. While it may not be common, it doesn't mean it's impossible, but it's a cycle that just doesn't seem to be broken. And once again, we're left with having to wait for another show to hopefully come back sooner rather than later. On the bright side, if you're like me and you don't know how to balance all these shows airing on a Saturday, at the very least, Misfit goes away, NieR comes back, NieR will probably go away, and Misfit comes back. I don't know. It's exhausting to say the least, but we are going to talk about Misfit Season 2, Episode 6. It was a good episode, and we are going to discuss that at length, but I did need to make a note of both these, because they almost go hand in hand, and it's like a mixture of good and bad news, and honestly, it can just be tiring watching at a distance knowing how much easier it would be to solve these issues, but these production committees, these licensors, Aniplex in particular, they're just so bad at what they do. But then they release so many good anime, and it's just like an abusive relationship we come back to time and time again, but we'll see where it goes. Now, we are going to be talking about Season 2, Episode 6 of Misfit. Do have a full live reaction over on my Patreon, so if you want to see my full uncut thoughts to today's episode, head on over there and consider supporting, because this was a pretty good episode. It's a damn shame, though, because we have probably at least 3 weeks. I would be shocked if it's only a week delay, just given the fact that, you know, NieR took so long off. Obviously, different studios, different circumstances. But whatever happens, I mean, delays always suck. I'm always okay with delays when they're unavoidable, but whenever you have production committees that just force too much out too soon, you just kind of wish that these things could have been avoided by letting them have a few extra months or so. But for an episode as a midway point, it does a good job. Some good cliffhangers. We finally get to realize why there was like a child Anos in 2,000 years back. Turns out it was actually our boy casually time traveling, which of course he does. But it's kind of funny when you think about it, because there's this guy in this episode who basically looks like he gets tortured from the inside out. So we see him get blasted by Anos' magic because they need to make it look legit. So he basically can't be healed by spells. It looks like he's probably burning and being killed from the inside out, and then Anos has to leave him until he comes back. So not only do we have to wait probably a month for the next episode, this poor bastard is laying on the ground suffering beyond my wildest imagination, and a sick part of me kind of finds that hilarious. But there wasn't really as much action as I was expecting. I kind of thought we were just going to pop off into a big action scene, so I was kind of thinking, okay, if we do have to wait, at least it'll be kind of like a good midway point. But instead, this almost feels like something where a 7-day wait is perfect because you get to think a bit, you get to figure out where it's going to go. We have the mystery of our girl. Basically, how can she be 2,000 years old if she only has 15 years of memory? Was she hibernating? Was she sleeping this whole time? Did someone erase her memories? There's a lot of mystery about her birth. So they casually time travel using that scythe that they got at the end, I think it was season 1 or whatever, and also using the mana of everyone around them. They can casually travel back 2,000 years, get some candy apple, throw it into the lake, and then go into a magical forest and see basically people that think you're no longer here. It is such a ridiculous concept, and it's so perfect for something like Misfit. But just to like see it happen, it just, every time I'm like, there's no way they're going to commit to this, but then they do. And it's just funny seeing them basically act like traveling performers and having our girl just laughing at, be like, that's so him, that's exactly how you would do it. And then you have Shin, who cracks me up a lot. I mean, there's this whole thing where basically he was like, hey, I was just prioritizing your safety, and she kept getting angrier and angrier because she wanted to get there quick enough for the candy apples, and just the fact that all he would say is the same line over and over, or the fact that by the end of the episode, he's more or less just giving these death glares like, this doesn't seem right, feeling very suspicious, but hey, I guess if I have to casually give my sword I'd only give to, one other person, I guess I gotta do it because that's just the type of day we're in right now. It just felt like a really good episode, pretty polished all things considered. There's only like 2 aspects of this season that feel unrefined. There's the tree CG, which I keep saying I think is hilarious, so I don't mind it whatsoever, but it is noticeable difference in animation quality. And then there's shots like these where they're a bit wider and you can see a lack of detail on the face. There's some shots you can nitpick like these for sure, but in general, does this look like a season you thought was going to get delayed at the midway point? No. I mean, the rumors were there before the season started up that there would probably be a delay, and you were hearing the same thing about NieR prior to it starting. Obviously, Misfit handled itself a bit better than NieR as it got halfway through its season before ultimately everything hit the fan. But it's pretty disappointing because this show has been really good. I was a big fan of season 1. There was rumors that this was going to be a 2-core. Now we don't really know what's happening with season 2. If maybe they're just breaking it into a season 3 and we'll get it a year from now, a season from now, I don't know. But either way, is it disappointing to be a fan of these shows? Yes, but is the quality still good with what we're getting? Absolutely. That's why I have nothing but praise for the team responsible for making it. It's just I wish the anime industry would get their head out of their ass and figure out how to manage things a lot better. Because if you can only get a few episodes or half of a season in before delays happen because the people you're outsourcing to are no longer coming into the office or there's not enough animators to go around, you gotta slow down your anime production. Like, it's so self-explanatory, but it can be so much pain looking at the obvious solutions that these production committees just never will do. I know this is kind of more of a rant than a review, but I have mixed opinions of the whole thing, so I just wanted to put it all into one video, so hopefully you understand, and hopefully we won't have to talk about this anymore for either of these series, and it'll just all be sunshine and rainbows going forward when this one comes back and NieR comes back next week. But yeah, so thoughts and feelings yourself though, down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new around here, ring that bell so you can get notified when I upload on the channel, especially since we don't know when this one's coming back, so you want to get reminded for sure. Full live reaction to today's episode available on my Patreon, other live reactions as well in case you have to wait a bit for this show to come back, and yeah, a bunch of other fun stuff to consider supporting if you so wish. So until next time everyone, please take care and have a good one.